All right, just take a good look at this picture. You've got this massive, multi-thousand-ton ship just sitting there on solid ground. It seems completely impossible, right? It's like seeing a whale in a parking lot. So how on earth do you park a ship on land? Okay, let's get into it.
Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most incredible feats of marine engineering, dry docking. Yeah, we're going to break down exactly how this super high-stakes, unbelievably precise operation actually works. So first things first, why even go through all this trouble? Well, think about it. For a ship, pretty much everything that keeps it moving and afloat, the hull, the propellers, the rudder, all that critical machinery, it's all underwater. And to inspect, repair, or maintain any of those vital parts, you got to get them out of the water.
So that brings us to the big question. How do you lift a vessel that weighs thousands and thousands of tons? I mean, you can't exactly call on a crane for this. The whole thing is this delicate, high-stakes ballet of physics and planning. And at the center of it all, well, it all revolves around one incredibly important person.
This is our main character in this whole story, the dockmaster. You can think of them as part naval architect, part air traffic controller, and maybe even part brain surgeon. Seriously, they are the single person in charge of the entire docking operation. And let me tell you, the stakes could not be higher. One tiny miscalculation and a ship's hull can literally crack under its own weight. We're talking about a disaster that could cost hundreds of millions of dollars and, of course, risk lives. It is an immense weight of responsibility.
You know, the dockmaster's job really lives in two different worlds. On one hand, it's all about intense communication, coordinating with the ship's crew, the port authorities, you name it. But on the other hand, it's pure, hardcore engineering, calculating stress, stability, and all the complex forces at play.
So how does the dockmaster prepare for this perfect fit? Well, it all starts days before the ship even arrives, with what is probably the most important exchange of information in the entire process. And this document right here, this is the single most important piece of the puzzle. It's the vessel's docking plan. And this isn't just a map, it's more like the ship's DNA. The dockmaster has to have this to even begin their calculations. It's a non-starter without it.
So what are they looking for in this complex blueprint? Okay, three main things. First, the ship's internal hull structure, so they know exactly where it's strong enough to be supported. Second, the location of any sensitive underwater equipment like echo sounders. And third, the position of all the sea chests. Those are the crucial water intakes for the ship's cooling systems and all the drain plugs.
And this is exactly why that information is so critical. The dockmaster uses that plan to arrange hundreds of concrete and wooden blocks on the floor of the dry dock. These blocks are going to hold the entire weight of the ship, so if a block is placed under a sensitive piece of equipment like this echo sounder, it will be crushed. Perfect placement is everything.
At the same time, the dockmaster is running all these complex stability calculations. As the water leaves the dock, the ship's center of gravity actually shifts. It's kind of like trying to balance a book on your head while slowly lowering yourself into a chair. One wrong move, and the whole thing can become unstable and tip over.
Okay, so with all the plans laid and the blocks set, it's time for the main event. This next phase is a carefully choreographed dance between the ship, the pilot, and the dockmaster. Here's how it all unfolds. After all the plans are sent, the ship arrives. A specialized port pilot expertly guides the massive vessel into the narrow, flooded dock. Once it's inside and secured, the dockmaster officially takes command. Then, and only then, do the massive pumps fire up and start to empty the dock. And this right here, this is the moment of truth. As the water recedes, thousands of tons of steel are slowly, carefully, transferred from the buoyant force of the water to the static blocks on the dock floor. You can bet everyone holds their breath, just trusting in the dockmaster's calculations.
And finally, the water is gone. The ship is safe, secure, and resting perfectly on its custom-built cradle of blocks. The incredible feat is complete. But in reality, the main reason for this entire process is just getting started.
With the ship high and dry, surveyors and engineers can finally begin the whole reason for this operation, the docking survey. Think of it as the most thorough physical exam imaginable for a vessel this size, inspecting every single square inch that's normally hidden beneath the waves.
And the level of detail on this survey checklist is just incredible. I mean, they are meticulously examining the condition of the shell plating for any sign of corrosion or damage. They're checking the massive propellers for erosion or even the tiniest of cracks. They inspect every single sea chest, every discharge valve. Absolutely nothing is overlooked.
So what's the biggest takeaway here? Well, the immense physical task of lifting a vessel the size of a building out of the ocean, it doesn't come down to brute strength. It comes down to perfect information, meticulous planning, and absolute trust in the expertise of the dockmaster. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest jobs are won not with muscle, but with a blueprint and a calculator.